This is the Chemistry 121 lab safety video for copper to copper. In this lab, you'll be performing a series of 5 chemical reactions, starting and ending with copper metal. You'll be using a small piece in this experiment. Before you come to lab, complete all the skeleton equations found throughout the introduction and procedures. In this lab, you will be using corrosive and toxic chemicals, so safety goggles should be worn at all times. In this lab, you will be using 3 caustic chemicals: nitric acid, sodium hydroxide, and sulfuric acid. Caustic or corrosive chemicals will damage your skin, so care should be used when handling these chemicals. If caustic chemicals do come in contact with your skin, you may notice an itching or a burning sensation. Immediately rinse your skin with water for 1 to 2 minutes. The use of caustic or corrosive chemicals in lab is common. Do not be intimidated by these chemicals, but instead be vigilant of safety hazards and act responsibly. In this lab, you'll be using a dispensing pipette to carefully add a specific amount of a corrosive chemical. This is a dispensing pipette. There's a large container of corrosive liquid. This is sodium hydroxide. And there's a plunger at the top and a spout where the liquid will come out. I'm going to start by putting on my safety goggles. In order to safely use a dispensing pipette, hold the centrifuge tube under the spout and carefully pull the plunger up and push it down, just 1 time to dispense the pre-measured amount. Do not lift and lower the plunger more than 1 time. All dispensing pipettes are a little different, so lifting the plunger and lowering the plunger may feel different for different dispensing pipettes. In this lab, you will also be using a centrifuge to separate a mixture based on the densities of the substances in the mixture. In order to safely use a centrifuge, tubes of equal mass must be on opposite sides of the centrifuge. This is the centrifuge you may use in lab. If you open up the lid, you'll notice that inside there are spots for centrifuge tubes and it will spin around. I want to make sure that I have tubes of equal mass on opposite sides of the centrifuge. This is called being balanced. So I have tubes of the same mass on opposite sides of the centrifuge. I can now turn on the centrifuge. Before you add your tubes to the centrifuge, you should measure the mass of the tubes using a balance to ensure they have the same mass. After the centrifuge is balanced, turn on the centrifuge for the correct amount of time. After turning off the centrifuge, wait for the wheel to come to a complete stop before opening the centrifuge and removing the tubes. At the end of this experiment, all liquid and solid waste produced should be disposed of in the labeled waste container in the fume hood. Do not pour chemicals down the drain. The only substances that can be poured down the drain are tap water and pure deionized water. Before you leave, you should clean, dry, and put all equipment back where you found it, whether it's a cart, a box, or a shelf. Wipe off your lab bench and wash your hands. Remember, a safe lab is a happy lab.